Hi, my name is Gefei An. Welcome to my multimodal presentation. In this video, I will talk about three concepts that I've learned in this course. They're CODA, meaning-focused input from Nation's Four Strengths, and backward design from Richard's article. Let's start from the first one. CODA refers to, as Cardoso discussed, the syllable final consonants in language. Moreover, English has one of the world's most complex syllable structure systems. As we all know, knowledge of English syllable structure is invaluable in the teaching and learning pronunciation, and we must pay attention to this concept. A good example has been given in our textbook, that is strengths. Concretely, CCCVCCC, where C denotes a consonant and V a vowel. A single syllable contains 3 onsets and 4 codas. Amazing, isn't it? In Routledge Handbook of Contemporary English Pronunciation, Cardoso indicates that many learners who don't have such syllable system have many problems in learning the pronunciation. That is the truth. In my personal learning and teaching experience, I cannot agree more with this point of view. In fact, in Mandarin, the common pattern of a syllable is one onset, that is, an initial consonant or a semivowel, followed by a vowel as final. Such as the word cat. In Mandarin Chinese is 猫, consonant m followed by a diphthong ao. Contains no coda. That is to say, there is no syllable final consonant in our pronunciation system. However, in Cantonese there are. This can be an obstacle for learners whose L1 is Mandarin to pronounce accurately English words, especially words with several codas. To give you an example, when I was an English teacher, I found the plural form of month is difficult for students to say. The codas f and s has always been simplified into a sibilant s, and I asked them why. They told me that they are unfamiliar with so many tails at the end of the word. At first, I asked them to practice the voiceless dental fricative th, since I thought there is no similar pronunciation of this consonant in their L1. However, students are good at words such as third and mouth. At that time, I realized it may be because of the combination of the dental fricative and alveolar fricative. Till now, I have known the exact concept of the syllable final consonants. It will be better for me to solve learners' coda problems. A useful and effective way for practice, as Linz mentioned, is to use tongue twisters with controlled target codas. If one can perceive a bunch of same codas in different words in a short time, it may be possible for him or her to perform better in letter training. Such as a big black bug bit a big black bear. Where's the big black bear the big black bug bit? Now let's move on to the second concept, meaning-focused input. The linguist and educational researcher Stephen Krashen put forward comprehensible input, and it has had the very positive effect of encouraging the growth of extensive listening, based on which Paul Nation contained this important component into his 4 strengths, that is, meaning-focused input, meaning-focused output, language-focused learning, and fluency development. He emphasized that each component should have been taken nearly equal time in a course, However, taking my own experience as an example, many courses I've taken indeed spend far too much time on language-focused learning. I worked on many exercises of grammar and punctuation use, but still quite overwhelmed about how to use what I've learned in daily life. Apparently, this kind of learning violated the principle of authenticity of a speaking lesson. As far as I'm concerned, meaning-focused learning can be seen as giving learners a big picture of what they are learning about, while language-focused learning is more like jigsaw puzzle and have to break into pieces. Without substantial input, there are fewer resources for output and fluency development work. Therefore, in the future teaching, I would also focus on the allocation of time towards the four strands in language learning. This is also closely related to the Minus principle pointed out by Nation and Newton. In the 5 principles for teaching beginners, meaning is of pivotal importance. Teachers should focus on meaningful and relevant content rather than on too much grammar explanation or on words that are not directly useful. Meanwhile, make a good use of extensive listening and viewing may provide learners with large amount of meaning-focused spoken input, and therefore raise their English proficiency and motivation. Nation and Newton have given some extremely practical techniques for a teacher engaging in meaning-focused dialogue with the learners, such as talking about classroom management, informal conversation about things that happen outside school, recalling previous lessons, and finding out learners' opinions and ideas on their interested topics. Teachers should always bear in mind that meaning-focused input is the foundation of students' output. Without sufficient spoken resources from both teacher and the context, it is impossible for learners to speak confidently without hesitation. There should always be enough time for learners to engage in dialogue with the teacher, do activities such as listen and do, grades, interview activities, and listening or viewing to stories or TV series, which are using high-frequency 3,000-word families and will cause no problems to students' comprehensibility. The last concept is very interesting. It's called backward design. It is from Richard's article, Materials Design in Language Teacher Education. At the end of the article, he discussed about forward design and backward design. Comparing with the forward design, which most of the participants in Richard's workshop assumed as the best way to develop materials, the author is thinking in another possibility. Taking this process as an example first. The teacher chooses a topic for a lesson. The teacher selects a resource. The teacher chooses instructional methods based on the resource and the topic. And the teacher chooses essay questions to assess student understanding of the book. It is a fairly logical and complete process in teaching. However, as Richards pointed out, it often results in loosely or poorly connected sequences of tasks that do not result in clear learning outcomes. Thus, an alternative approach is to start with a clear statement of intended learning outcomes and examples of the outputs that reflect these outcomes, and to work backwards from these to determine what needs to be taught. Looking back, the class designing while I was an elementary school teacher, The first thing before designing a lesson plan is always summarizing the main topic of the unit and break it down into different categories such as sentence patterns, words, and cultural-based integrated learning, etc. Although we will write about the outcomes after students have taken the class, it is more like a ticket for granted assuming instead of a clear idea before considering what should be taught. This is a very good inspiration for my future teaching career, because I can think from another side and try to be in learners' shoes, thinking about what the outcomes are and what they will really practice during the class and use after school. In this way, I can get a big picture first and then zoom in to see what details should be completed and what are not necessary. So much for my reflection on 3 concepts. Here are my references. Thanks for listening.